You know, at the end of The Wizard of Oz, when Glenda the Good Witch looks at Dorothy and says, "You had the power all along, my dear," and pointed to her red shoes, which would have gotten her out of Oz and back home at the very beginning. I always wonder if Dorothy secretly wanted to punch Glenda in the face, knowing that she didn't have to go through everything she had gone through in order to get to that point. But I think that ultimately the answer to that question is no. You know, this week on my podcast on Monday, I had Stephanie Krekorian, who wrote a fabulous book called Zen Bender. And in that book, she talked about her search to find answers and to find wellness and to find well-being, and how ultimately she found out that she didn't need to look outside of her for those answers, that she had the answers inside of her all along. And I often tell my clients in my consulting practice that you are your own best advocate. You know how to do this. You have the answers. And I think that sometimes we struggle and want someone to hand us the answers on a silver platter, or in Dorothy's case, to point to our shoes and say, "There you go." But we have to remember that part of the fun of the answers is the journey to get them. For Dorothy, she got to meet the lion and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow, and she got to have a fabulous adventure that she wouldn't have had if Glenda had just said, "There's your shoes, go on home." And for Stephanie, she wouldn't have written a fabulous book that made me laugh out loud if she knew one day when she woke up that she had the answers and knew what would best serve her all along. We are all holding the answers to our questions inside of us, and the journey to find them is supposed to be fun. You are your own best advocate. You have your answers. You're wearing the ruby shoes, and you will find your answers. But in the meantime, maybe we're supposed to be enjoying the journey. Take a listen to my podcast today, Thursday, as I talk about this in a little bit more depth, or you can listen to Monday when I talk about Stephanie, the author of Zen Bender, and I'll be back every Thursday with a new podcast, the Elegant Warrior podcast, and a little blog about the podcast, so stay tuned for that as well. Have a great weekend.